Hello. Hi, everyone. It is a very exciting day because Katrina and I have been planning this chat for quite some time. And it's also my daughter's birthday today. So it just feels important to be talking creativity and joy and everything that has to do with that with someone who knows all there is to know about it. So Katrina, as she calls herself, is a magic creature, and I totally agree. She is an incredible mosaic artist who works on projects from all over the world and does a lot of educational things as well. And she is working on some really, really huge things. We met in a mastermind last year of women who are truly going for more and making choices in their lives about how they want to live their lives and the legacy that they want to leave. And I'll let you introduce yourself, Katrina. And I'm so grateful to have you here and just talk about life and what you have going on and just everything to do with what we creatives go through. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Diana. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you. So, my name's Katrina Doran, and I am a mosaic artist, which means I break things up and I piece them back together again. And I think my whole life I've been someone who gathered bits of things and reassembled them or made patterns out of them. And I like to say also, like the idea of patterns, like it's inherent to the way our brains work as human beings. And I love studying patterns. So I love shapes and patterns that we see visually in artwork, but also I like the patterns of how we are as human beings. And so I actually have a degree in psychology and utilize that in how I teach and work and facilitate workshops and play with symbolism.
That's incredible. So tell me more about patterns and psychology and how that helps with both your work and teaching.
Let's see how it helps. That's an interesting way to look at it. So, as human beings, we make meaning of everything, and it's how we learn to navigate the world and how we like our brain wants us to feel safe. And so it remembers patterns like this happened and I felt this and I made it mean this, right? And all of that gets stored in our subconscious as a means of keeping us safe from harm, danger, not repeating something that hurt us before. The problem is that we are often conditioned in our culture and our society to just run on those patterns of behavior that keep us in a cycle of fear or stress or staying safe, wanting to feel safe. And as you know from teaching workshops and doing the studies that you do, like when we create art, it lowers our cortisol levels. We begin to relax. We begin to make space to see something new, to make new choices, to see what else is possible. And I think as creatives, we're always looking to expand what's possible in the world. You know, little kids do it all the time. An elephant may not be gray. It might be like, purple and green. It could, the sky might be, I don't know, it could be any color, right?
Mhm.
But not always just blue. So that's the great thing about being artists. We imagine something that's possible and maybe not seen by other people, and we're willing to explore it.
And I think during this past year, when things were especially difficult for so many of us, for me personally, it was that much more important to head out to the studio every single day and allow myself to be in that space, both physically and mentally, in the space of creativity and letting the intuition take over and seeing where things can lead. And I'm wondering what had happened for you. How have you pivoted? How have you dealt with stress and overwhelm this past year? What's been going on for you as a creative?
Yeah, this past year was really interesting. I'm used to teaching classes in person, very much like you are. However, last year I took the year off from doing that and taught a few classes online, in which we made new friends. So, like, we actually sculpted our friends.
True. Mhm.
And that was a lot of fun. I also did something like I made paper dolls that were notes to friends to kind of cheer them up. And that led into some other projects that have been a lot of fun. Mostly what I discovered in this past year is how much of my time was spent being busy and running around in this kind of busyness is the best word for it, but it was a distractive type of energy, distracting myself from things that I really held in my heart to be important. And the isolation of this past year has allowed me to refocus on my vision and what I want to create, which is a big vision. It's a big plan for a whole world of creative expression. And
So it's very exciting. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the big vision and the big project. And I can so see it happening for you. I mean, I already see it like it already happened. So tell us a bit. What does this project entail, and all the different pieces that go into it?
yeah, so the project entails it's like a big flower that has petals that keep opening and opening. And I intend to turn our home and our property. So my husband is also an artist, and we live and work on our property. So my studio is actually in the main house, and he has a separate studio. And then we have gardens on the property and a wooded creek area. So all of that will be turned into an art environment, something that's of our own design that includes mosaic floors and mosaic embellishments on the walls. In fact, one of my visions is for kind of a 1950s, 60s bathroom that is a paint by number pink flamingo scene with pink and green marble flooring and
That sounds super
those
cool.
kinds of fun things, right? I started it with Tashi, the Tibetan tiger rug, which is a marble mosaic in one of the hallways, and that's kind of the motor for the whole project. The gardens will include sculptures, and all of it, for me, from my end, will be mosaic, and my husband does portraiture and mixed media sculptures, and then there's a whole teaching excuse me, a teaching component, classes, workshops, online, in person, and so on and so on.
And a book, right? There's a book
Oh
that
yes,
you're
and a book,
in the midst of. Yeah.
because I'm a fountain of ideas these days.
And I love the title, The World of Dorian Studios. It's so inviting, and it just I'm dying to go. Whenever you open it, there has to be a big launch party, and um, it
Well, I
just
think
sounds
it's going to
incredible.
have to, yeah, I think it's going to have to be opened in phases, because mosaics are slow. And one of the things I realized recently is that Shakespeare's quote, all the world is a stage. And quite literally, it is. It's like some curious play that we're living in. And if that's the case, then my home is its own type of stage. My studio is its own type of stage. Who I am, I get to dress up in different costumes and try on different personalities and um, play with the experience of being human in all the ways that we are human. uh, Mosaics allow me to travel the world through different uh, images and ideas and textures and concepts, and I get to bring that all together in one place as an expression of all my favorite things, the things that I love and that I want to share with you. I want to share these things with you. It makes me happy.
It's incredible what you just brought up in terms of giving yourself permission to play. I think as adults, we very rarely give ourselves that permission. And we don't realize that the fact that we're robbing ourselves from that ability to play is actually causing all kinds of negative outcomes in terms of stress and anxiety um, and if we could just let go and be a bit more creative and let ourselves play once in a while or on a continuous basis, then we would feel so much more joy and gratitude and happiness and being in the moment. So I absolutely love this idea of you sharing everything you know about the world with the visitors and with everybody who's going to come in. So you've got a ton going on, and how do you balance it all? What happens on the daily basis? How do you choose? Is it the book today? Is it your commissions that you're working on today? Is it the gardening and that incredible garden that you're working with? How does this all come together so that you're not overwhelmed or burnt out or yeah, it seems like a lot.
It does. And you made me cry when you were talking about giving ourselves permission to play, because I am very serious mostly, very serious and very hard on myself about things. And what I'm what I'm practicing, what I'm taking on, developing strength in for myself is tapping in and tuning into my own heart's desires. What do I desire to create in the world that's an expression of me, not in an order to get somewhere, although I have there's something I'm creating that has a beginning, middle, and end. But to reassess whether I'm coming from expression or I'm in pursuit of something. If I can allow myself to be purely in a state of expression, then what arises is what's next to do. So like yesterday, I had a commission to finish. So that was on my plate, and I had a meeting to go to. So that was on my plate. And um, then I'm in a challenge, a visibility challenge that you set up, that we're playing with. And those are the three things that I chose in the morning of yesterday, to complete by the end of the day. And then other things just find their ways in, and I have to choose something to focus on. Otherwise, I'm just like shiny object syndrome, where these ideas pop in and I'm like, oh, let's do that one now. Let's do it right now. It won't take very long. It's always like this little voice in my head. It won't take very long. We can just sneak over here and do this next thing. It'll be totally cool. And it's a process of developing my skills around that. Like, what matters first in the accomplishment of the vision. And sometimes life shows up and that has to take priority. Like, today's your daughter's birthday. We must celebrate, right?
Yeah. Well, she wanted me to wear a dress for her birthday because she's very much into princesses and dresses. So I am dressed up in a dress. I'm actually wearing one of Anna's. I hope she watches at some point.
Oh, how
I
beautiful.
got my radiance necklace. So I'm being very girly today. And her and I are gonna go on a date. But I totally agree. Having what's really changed for me this past year is recording at the end of each day 3 wins
Mm.
and 3 gratitudes. And I think focusing my mind on what the wins are for a particular day and putting myself into the habit of doing that, what had shifted for me is that when I wake up in the morning, I already know that I'm going to have to be accountable for those 3 wins at the end of the day. So I'm starting my morning with looking for those 3 wins. I'm already focusing on the 3 super important things, and just 3, right? Not more than 3, that I need to be excited about to have finished by the end of the day. And it's been such a huge mindset shift in terms of, well, focusing on the positive as opposed to all the negative that's been out there, but also in terms of staying productive. And there are so many things on the to-do list, and it is so easy to say, oh, just one little thing. I totally agree. And it feels like it's going to take no time, but of course then it does. Um, and that just is amazing in terms of truly staying in focus. And then the what you were saying in terms of creating the true authentic version of yourself, and it's not just you as an artist, or you as somebody who's working on a particular project that has the beginning, middle, and end, but really being that heartfelt version of you. I think that is so powerful to be looking at that whole version of ourselves, not just as a doer, not just as an artist or a creative, but as a woman, as someone who is part of this world, as somebody who wants to share and have a tribe and feel a sense of belonging, or something, or a contribution that's being made to the world, and the fact that the world can change by us artists, or with the help of us artists, right?
Artists make everything up.
It's all in our heads, right? So it's a matter of, I heard this quote a few days ago, that went something like 5% of ideas, 5% of it all is ideas, and 95% is the execution. And I keep going back to it time and time again. It's great to be an artist and to have all of this pour out of us, but it's a matter of how do you go about releasing it into the world courageously, bravely, and not feeling like you're hiding, right? Or not being afraid of judgment or rejection, or all of these things, but just going from that heartfelt place and sharing all of you and being vulnerable. I just find it so precious. So thank you for what you're doing. It's incredible. And I think both for kids and adults going into a place like yours where they can feel joy and feel like children again and feel like they can play is going to be absolutely tremendous. I think it'll be so important coming out of the year of COVID and finding these little moments where we can find happiness and creativity and joy will be super, super key. So what do you have planned? What do you have going on right now? Tell us a little bit about that next step for you.
Right now, I am working on a couple of commissions and getting those finished. I guess is the best way to say it. And I have commissions in the lineup, so I'm doing that. I'm also creating some workshops and virtual classes, and then I have towards the fall, I have some in-person things that are coming up that I'm excited about. And who knows what's going to come up in between. My husband and I are working on creating an artist book together. And a big passion of his has been working in the community, particularly with the homeless population and running art programs with them. And I love one of the things that he says. He says, the rules are that everybody gets to play, to be nice. And that's kind of our motto. Like, everybody gets to play. Because for me, in allowing myself to play and to dive into the exploration of who I am as an artist, as a human being, is really quite profound when I get to witness that in other people. And it returns me to that sense of awe and wonder that can sometimes bring me to my knees in gratitude. There's nothing more beautiful.
Yeah, than witnessing someone release, right? Yeah. And access their inner child and their creativity, which is so rare. And I totally agree. And I think I told you this before, is the reason why I love teaching kids is because they teach me just as much about this openness to the world and about that innate sense of awe and wonder. And it helps me to not lose that myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful gift to be teaching people to see that and to witness them see that. It's quite wonderful. So tell us lastly, how can people find you? The classes that you're going to be running, where are they going to be announced? What's the best way to get in touch and to discover more about you?
You can find me on Facebook under Katrina Doran or Doran Studio. And our website is theworldofdoranstudio.com. You can also, it's also linked to katrinadoran.com or doranstudio.com. So we have all of those things because it's gone through its different iterations. The classes will get posted to Facebook. I'm also on Instagram under Katrina Doran Mosaics. And our website will list the classes when they're available for signing up. And you know, I'm still learning so much technology in terms of
I think we all are. Yeah.
how to subscribe to things and all that kind of stuff. But I'm getting there. I'm getting it, and it's all new technology and new stuff for me. But stick around. You'll see the notices. Yeah.
Yeah. And also for the next week, those of you who are not part of my group, I'm planning on having Katrina take over and share a few times a week just some of the really, really cool projects that she's working on. So if you haven't joined yet, definitely join, and you'll see some of the amazing in progress pieces or information on things that she's working on. So thank you so much for watching, whether it's in replay or live. Would love any questions from you. And thank you, Katrina, for spending a little bit of time with me. It's always lovely to see you. And I wish you the best of luck with this incredible project. I cannot wait to see it. Those of you who don't know, Katrina is in the Dallas, Texas area, and she has an incredible space and studio and garden, and I can't wait to travel and see it in person.
I can't wait for you to come, Diana.
Yeah, thank you. Well, have a great afternoon, and we'll see you shortly in the group.
All right. Take care.